DIRT TRAX TV is sponsored by Polaris, think outside. Can-Am, follow your path. Yamaha, revs your heart. And by Honda Power Sports, power your dreams, whatever the terrain.
You know, I get to do a lot of really cool things, go a lot of cool places, ride a lot of really neat and unique side-by-sides and ATVs, and I feel very fortunate for being able to do that. But the reality is I don't always get to take my family with me because that's just not the business that I'm in. It doesn't always work out that way.
He gets to travel all the time for work, and a lot of times we don't get to go. It doesn't actually stop me from hounding him constantly for the girls and I to be able to go on a trip. And it just so happened that Elliott Lake opportunity arrived, and I was super excited to go.
Sometimes I want to go on the trips because they would be fun to go on, but most times I'm not allowed. This time my dad said that I can go on a trip, so I was really excited to go.
And you guys get to ride in really cool places, and I think it's just better when you get to go with the whole family.
So making sure you pick a place that has, you know, all of the amenities that you need, has the trails close by, isn't all that far of a drive, and really delivers with great scenery, great trails, and a lot of fun. That's what it's all about. So when we rolled into Elliott Lake, we were staying at the Hampton Inn, and let me tell you about this because it's fairly unique in the off-road world that you can go directly to a hotel, park your truck and trailer, unload your side-by-side or ATVs, and park in a parking space, and that's exactly what I did.
So guys, we have arrived in Elliott Lake, and I'm really excited for you guys to get out and experience all that this place has to offer because I've been here quite a few times, but Mom, I don't think you've ever been here
I've never
before.
been here.
No, and you guys never have. And the fun thing is, we're staying at a Hampton Inn, and our side-by-side is parked in the parking lot, and we are gonna ride directly from here. I'm excited for you guys to experience this. I think it's gonna be fun.
Like, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to drive your truck and trailer. Everywhere in Elliott Lake, except for the downtown core, is ATV and side-by-side friendly as long as you stick to the rules of the road.
One of the big things about Elliott Lake is we tell everyone it's a compact full-service community, and all our dining options are centered around the middle of town. So you can ride right from your lodge or your hotel out to the trails and then loop right back in and have access to one of 17 dining options in the community. So you're not really spread out, and the community is very accommodating when riders are in town.
So as soon as you leave the hotel, within 2 minutes, you're on beautiful trails.
Again, we're really lucky. We've got two great clubs. The ATV Club and the City of Elliott Lake have a great partnership. They do their rides. We have information sessions coming up in the community to really promote our club to existing members, but also to get that buy-in from the community for riding as a whole. We've supported them with equipment over the years, and events like this. We made a phone call to come and help film for an event, and we had 6 people show up. I mean, we're really fortunate to have the support of the club that we have and that great relationship that we have with them.
Well, we support and maintain approximately 300 kilometers. We got the mud pits, we got the steep hills with rocks that are loose, and we have the nice, calm green trail that goes through the woods with a canopy over it. So we really have something for everybody.
After we were on the trails for a little bit, maybe it was like 10 minutes outside of town, they took us to this beautiful waterfall. And soon after the waterfall, we stopped and we were able to stand on this rock cliff and just look at this beautiful lake.
Get on your feet, these sights to see, rolling hills or city streets, ocean to ocean and all in between.
Got to go to this area where there was a dam. We were able to walk across it and go and hop on really cool rocks all around it.
Being able to see all the sights and looking at all the nature, because I really like going in water, and it was fun to go in the water.
Well, Elliott Lake's been known for having a large amount of lakes. The going number that we use is there's 400 lakes within the city limits. Set up a fire, set up your tent. You can fish at a lake. steps from where you're set up, and you're not dealing with residents and cars and anything else. Our number that our team uses is we've got 300 kilometers of ATV trails in the area, and I can tell you that around those 300 kilometers, there's countless lakes around there.
Now, before we went on the trip, I was told there might be the opportunity to do some fishing. So I did pack up my fishing gear, got the rods, got my tackle box, and I thought, all right, you know, maybe we will, maybe we won't. But as it turns out, there was this beautiful rock perch on this pristine little lake.
All of a sudden, we're casting into this beautiful scenery. It was absolutely lovely.
We're fishing off this rock perch that if you told me I was 1,000 miles from civilization, I would have believed you. Not a cottage on the lake, not a boat on the lake, nothing, just an ATV trail that leads you there. And that is special.
I really enjoyed going fishing and to be able to do that because we haven't done that in a while.
Elliott Lake promotes the fact that you can bring your fishing rod along. You can fish in any one of the, I believe it's 400 lakes they have just within the city limits.
I love going fishing, and then going off of the cliff that they had there was super cool.
It's not that far from the city center to get out and be in nature and go camping. Bring your side-by-side, bring your ATV, bring your tent. There's beaches everywhere, but we pull 2 seconds off the trail. You can see it from the trail, this beautiful beach.
As soon as we get off this trail, all of a sudden we make a little turn and there is this expansive white sand beach in front of us. A beach that you would expect to see like hundreds of people on. But what was really neat is that there was maybe one person way down to the side and we had all of this beautiful nature to ourselves. It was quite impressive and lovely.
I would not have guessed there would be a big sand beach like that. It's so beautiful, and I'm surprised there wasn't many people there at all.
And there's one group camping down on the beach, and the rest of it is open to us. So what do? The ATV club pulls out their little barbecue. They've got all the stuff with them, all the fixins, and they make us a fish fry lunch right on the beach. They make some hot dogs for the girls and fresh caught bass for the rest of the people there. And we just have this like shore lunch on a beautiful sand beach.
I really liked the hot dogs that they cooked on the beach. It was yummy.
I love the lunch they made for us. It was like so yummy, and then being out on the beach in like a nice sunny day was so nice, and the fish that they had was so delicious.
Where I was saying to everybody from the ATV club, I want to come back here, bring a tent and camp out here because I can spend days in this area. This is so nice. Go riding right from there, you know, need more supplies, drive back into the city, no problem. So there's all kinds of unique things to do in Elliott Lake, whether it be, you know, fishing, hiking, mountain biking, obviously all the power sports stuff that you can do there. But they do have a really unique overlook just outside of town. It's like literally 2 minutes outside of town. You can get right up over top of the entire city, and they have a cool building up there. It's where a bunch of the towers are for communications, with all kinds of plaques and different pieces that explain about the area. They've got a couple of like viewing pieces up there so you can see off into the distance. And something you realize right away is that Elliott Lake truly is a city in the forest.
The lookout was so beautiful, and you were able to go in this little building to even get higher up than you already were. And they gave you little like binocular things. You were able to look out over the city, and there were special boards that like show you where places are. And I thought that was wonderful because you were able to actually like get a learning experience out of it too.
You look right over town and you can see that it's just stitched into the forest. And everywhere surrounding, as far as you can see, all the way to Manitoulin Island in the distance, is nothing but forest. Just go and enjoy and have fun and experience what the city of Elliott Lake and Northern Ontario has to offer, because it is a lot.
It's like a sunrise warming us up.
One of the reasons that I was really excited to go with AJ on this trip was because our girls got to go. And something that I'm sure many people can relate to is like all of a sudden you blink and your children are grown up. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to have them out in nature and to have that time together where they're meeting great people, but they're with us, immersed in the forest, riding wonderful trails. It's just really important to have that family time.
If other families had a side-by-side, I think they'd really enjoy it because there's a lot of places to go. And I really like the restaurants. Everybody's really nice and kind.
It's not just for a day ride or a 2-day ride. There's so much to do, and you can make Elliott Lake a vacation. We have a championship 18-hole golf course. We've got Helen Bar Lookout. But when you come to town, you can book all those events. You can go out kayaking, you can go fishing. There's multiple places that rent canoes, kayaks, even motorboats. You can head out to our downtown. We've got shopping. So it's a family area where regardless of which spouse is into the power sports riding, it's not just 2 or 3 days of power sports riding. You can make a whole week or 2-week event of coming here, spending time in the community, hitting multiple restaurants, and really we've got a lot to do for every member of your family.
You know, I feel really fortunate to be able to go out and do this trip with my family, to spend this time together. Seeing my girls grow and get older is something that tugs at my heart every single day, because you don't get this time back, so you got to make the most of it. And being able to experience these things in Elliott Lake, the fishing, the waterfalls, just, you know, the big powder sand beach, doing a shore lunch with them that I don't think they've ever done that before, so that was pretty cool and kind of unique. These are the types of things we're going to remember for the rest of our lives, and I'm really thankful that we had the Elliott Lake ATV Club with us to be able to do this, and the folks from the city of Elliott Lake who just, you know, pulled out all the stops for us and wanted to show us everything they have to offer. And it's just such a nice community. It's such a nice city. It's such a nice place. Yes, it's off the beaten path, and most times on Highway 17, you're gonna not even remember that turnoff was there, but you should, because this is a hidden gem in Ontario. Those 28 kilometers up to Elliott Lake from the Trans-Canada Highway are, there. You know what? If it was 2,800 kilometers, I'd make that trip again, because it's well worth it. This place is awesome. The scenery is second to none. The trails are absolutely fantastic, and the hospitality, you can't beat it.
Dirt Tracks is sponsored by Princess Auto. Make it work.
In 2016, Yamaha did something that many thought would never be done and put a true fully manual transmission in the sport side-by-side. Now, the YXZ was something no one else had even attempted, and it proved a lot of very interesting points. First and foremost was that a manual gear-on-gear transmission feels completely different than a CVT and gives the driver a far more connected to the car experience. It also proved that CV belt transmissions rob a pretty significant amount of horsepower. The YXZ was initially met with some disappointment with its horsepower numbers, but after only a short ride it became clear it performed pretty much on par with its higher horsepower belt transmission equipped competition. The YXZ was also the first sport side-by-side to come with a 3-cylinder engine. Now, engines with more cylinders tend to rev higher by their very nature than those of the same displacement but with fewer holes. This high revving engine combined with that fully manual sequentially shifted transmission make the overall experience of driving the YXZ one of the most engaging you will ever find. Banging shift was heroin level addictive, as was the glorious howl emitted by the 3-cylinder engine's tuned pipe. One area where the YXZ wasn't quite as good as its CV-equipped counterparts, though, was slower trail riding, especially in challenging terrain and especially when piloted by less experienced drivers. The 2017 Sport Shift model aimed to fix that with an auto-actuated clutch with automatic slip functionality. Basically, you just hit the shifter and the electronics did the rest. It certainly made the YXZ more pleasant to drive in a wider variety of terrain, and it was far easier to drive for guys who didn't grow up banging shifts in their mom's Corolla. Since 2017, the YXZ has enjoyed a long list of updates and refinements that have, with each iteration, made it better. 2024, though, sees probably the most important update yet. This season, Yamaha tossed the YXZ's traditional 5-speed transmission and replaced it with a new, close-ratio 6-speed unit. This new gearbox features a lower low gear and a higher high gear with more even spacing for all the gears in between. The goal was to improve both the YXZ's low-speed performance, especially on gnarly terrain and in the rocks, and its overall acceleration. But this wasn't the only change for 2024. This season, the YXZ is available in 3 trim levels. The most basic model is the 1000R. It features the new 6-speed sequentially shifted gearbox and a manually actuated clutch. No paddle shifters or auto settings. The 1000R SS and 1000R SS XTR models lose the clutch pedal and gain paddle shifters, but they also get 2 new drive modes, Auto and Sport Auto, and these are exactly what they sound like they are. Now, the normal auto mode is designed to upshift and downshift much sooner to help keep the RPMs lower. This will provide the most mellow and comfortable overall riding experience. The Sport Auto mode is tuned for all-out performance and adapts to how hard you're driving. If you're easy on the throttle, it shifts sooner, but if you're standing on the loud pedal, it will let the engine wind all the way out to, or even just past redline before it aggressively bangs a shift. And I say bangs a shift because that's exactly what it does. The shifts are lightning fast, but they are not subtle in any way. A loud clunking sound is what you hear, but a dramatic lurch is what you feel as the YXZ shifts up and down, interestingly enough, through its gears. While this might sound highly unrefined, and in a way it is, it's also exactly what you want when you're driving hard. It's what makes the Sport Auto mode a better option in most situations than using the paddles in manual mode. The big exception to this was in the sand, where it felt like the auto mode just couldn't figure out what it should do to make me happy. On harder surfaces though, the auto shift logic is exceptional. Now with all that said, the Yamaha drivetrain engineers knew there would be times drivers would want the transmission to do something other than what it was currently doing, so they made it possible to manually override the auto shift mode simply by flicking the paddle shifter in whatever direction you wanted. Unlike a dual clutch transmission, the YXZ's auto clutch sequentially shifted manual does not feel mushy at all. It feels like you are directly connected to the engine and the wheels, and it's something you simply can't feel anywhere else in the industry.
Dirt Trax has been sponsored by Kawasaki. Let the good times roll. MBRP Performance Exhaust, built for the victory lap. And by Hercules Tire, ride on our strength.
Clearly, I'm pretty stoked about the YXZ1000R SS's powertrain, but what about the rest of the vehicle? Well, it's really a bit of a mixed bag. I like so much about it, but it also comes with some caveats. For instance, the AA-arm front suspension yields 16.2 inches of travel, and the AA-arm rear suspension, with its unique design intended to mimic a trailing arm setup, offers up 17 inches of travel. All 4 corners are damped by a set of fully adjustable Fox 2.5 Podium RC2s with dual rate springs that feature adjustable crossovers. Now, these specifications are more than adequate for the 1000cc naturally aspirated sport side-by-side class, and this suspension is highly tunable and does work great in all kinds of conditions. Small and medium-sized bump compliance is excellent, as is big bump bottoming resistance. On flatter, high-speed corners, the chassis feels planted and stable, but running through big whoops like you find in the desert at high speed shows the difference between a AA-arm rear suspension that's trying to be trailing arms and a true trailing arm rear suspension. In these conditions, the back end tends to get loose and more than a little bit sideways. Take the YXZ1000R SS into the rocks though, and its suspension displays excellent articulation and keeps the chassis completely stable. Now this thing might only be 64 inches wide, but it feels like it's a lot wider than it is. Now the YXZ style is still very aggressive and it's still a great looking side-by-side, but if I'm being honest, it's looking dated. And there are areas around the vehicle that show it was originally designed when attention to detail took a backseat to performance. Places where other side-by-sides have rubber grommets, the YXZ has none. And little things like the design of the dashboard only serve to highlight the fact that the YXZ doesn't come with any kind of in-dash infotainment system, even in the XTR trim. Now the steering column mounted gauge pod, borrowed from a street bike, an R1 if I'm remembering correctly, is functional but not at all flashy. All the information you need is right there. But the digital portion of the display is small, not customizable, and lacks any color. Now the analog tachometer is definitely cool though, and even if the gauge gets updated, I'd love to see the YXZ retain the analog tach and separate shift light. The YXZ1000R SS EPS we have here is sort of the base auto shift model. It's got excellent high back, well-bolstered seats, a fantastic steering wheel, it's got LED lights front and rear, and a new upgraded 1000 watt alternator that also includes pre-wired whip mounts in the back. It comes standard with 29-inch Maxxis Bighorn tires wrapped around stylish 14-inch aluminum wheels. Full composite skid plates are standard as well, but that's really all there is to talk about. When you step up to the XTR, you get 29-inch Maxxis Carnage tires wrapped around 14-inch true beadlock wheels, a roof, a winch, painted bodywork and matching stitched seats, rear view mirror, a front bumper, and auxiliary lighting, but you also get a $2,800 price increase. Which brings me to my final point about the 2024 YXZ1000R SS. For 2024, Yamaha has done something that nobody else in the industry has done. They've actually lowered the price of the YXZ by $1,000 US. That's pretty awesome, and I think it's pretty noble of them. Now, the bottom line here, in my opinion, is that the YXZ1000R SS has received significant updates this year, all of which make it a better overall sport side-by-side, yet it still feels like it's getting a bit long in the tooth and in need of a major makeover. Yet it's still the only sport side-by-side in the industry that offers a fully manual transmission, or a fully manual transmission with an auto-actuated clutch, or a fully manual transmission with an auto-actuated clutch and automatic shifting modes. Every other gear-on-gear side-by-side in the industry has a dual clutch transmission, and it is not the same. The YXZ offers the most engaging driving experience in the industry. There's just nothing like it. So if this is the kind of high-performance fix you're looking for, the YXZ1000R SS is definitely the place for you to get it.